So in that sense, like, law isn't like this bad thing, that it really does, it is good. And so, but the Galatians are having a problem with following it when they should be living by faith. Is there any place where Paul kind of does the other thing, where people are living too much without the law, and so he tells them, go back and look at that and do that?
What we'll see 2 lessons from now when we get to the Corinthians is people who are doing exactly the opposite. They think that they have so much arrived at the great eschaton that they don't need. In fact, it's interesting, in 1 Corinthians 4, he says that people need to be careful not to go beyond what is written. And throughout 1 Corinthians, he is drawing them back to lessons that they need to glean from Israel's experience in the wilderness and particular commandments that God had given them. And by contrast, in Galatians 5:6, he says, look, folks, the only thing that matters is faith working through love. With the Corinthians in chapter 7 of 1 Corinthians, he's going to say, look, the only thing that matters is keeping the commandments of God. So, and here's where we kind of get back to Paul's whole eschatology thing. What it makes him so profoundly good as a pastor is that he reads people's hearts, and he reads their hearts in light of his sense of God's timeline. And the Galatians are trying to turn the clock back and go back under the law as though Christ had not come, as though it were necessary for some other shedding of blood. And he's going, you guys don't get it. And to come at them with a lot of ordinance keeping would be to just confirm them in their sickness. With the Corinthians, they think that they are so far beyond the constraint of the Scriptures that he has to remind them of how much wisdom there is for us in Scripture. And so he calls them like out of a, sort of a pretend future that they're in, and says, no, you need to get back into the sloppy already not yet, where because we are still sinners, God's law still tells us what we need to know about who God is. And if we think that we can live apart from his rules, we're kidding ourselves.